Alright guys, so I might be a little late to this thing, but I was sick last weekend, and I don't report on the weeks, and even then, the entire week I was still sick, but I'm all better now, and they made a trailer for Jurassic World Rebirth. So let's get into this.
Dr. Henry Loomis, this is Zora Bennett, our mission specialist.
Damn it, I haven't heard that name in years.
This would be a medical breakthrough that could save countless lives. It comes from the largest dinosaurs on the planet. Oh my god. Fortunately for us,
that's cool.
all these species exist in one isolated place. Can you be ready tomorrow?
I can guarantee your safety. I mean, more or less.
I still think they should have went with the idea of dinosaurs still being all over the world. Maybe they'll be like, oh, maybe like in part 8, they'll be like, oh, but they're all over the world again. For whatever reason.
Move up towards Barbados. Avoid government
Which I
control.
honestly hope they
There
do.
aren't that many anymore.
Why's that?
No one's dumb enough to go where we're going.
This island was the research facility for the original Jurassic Park.
Oh.
We need DNA from the 3 biggest dinosaurs.
Why does that one girl give off to a girl? I'm not even being funny. She actually was. Maybe I'm misremembering. I don't know.
Maybe we should make it quick.
That's bloodless. Pretty cool.
These dinosaurs were too dangerous for the original park.
Too dangerous for the original park, you say?
Raptors. The worst of the worst. We're left here.
Gonna show us the big hybrid? Show us the big man jamba. Is that it?
We put ourselves in a place we
They still have the show. Wait. How big do they make that, can we get a rewind on that? I want to see if they made it, like, as big as the real thing, because, like, they... Actually, no, you couldn't tell. We got a different... What's the segment? Like, it was, like, as far away you couldn't even tell, but I hope they make it as big.
What the hell are those?
They ain't Spinosaurus, I can tell you that. It does not have the color scheme of the original Jurassic Park 3 Spinosaurus.
What you just said is good.
Which I think is a massive letdown. That is not Spinosaurus I know him well. Alright, so if they fix the Spinosaurus, this would be getting a 10 out of 10, but right now it's just 9 out of 10. So yeah. That was good. So let's watch the breakdown, cause
Some people seem born
it just kind of everything went by so fast, and I think
leadership takes practice.
It's here. The trailer for Gareth Edwards' Jurassic World Rebirth
Oh,
has
just about
finally
the
dropped,
Godzilla guy?
and my
I
god,
think I
guys,
already
it
knew that.
looks insane. I'm
Oh, wow,
legit shaking.
surprised.
It looks like everything I dreamed a new Jurassic film would be, and they didn't skimp out on this trailer either. It is jam-packed with new information, and there's a lot to get through. So we're going to break down everything, including details you might have missed. And believe me, there is a ton of details. So let's not waste any more time. Let's get to it.
Dude, I think for Dolly Rex.
Starts out in New York as they're dismantling an exhibition of Jurassic Park, featuring the iconic T-Rex herself. Now, some people have speculated that this is a now dead Rexy.
No, they cannot do that
I'm pretty sure they wouldn't disrespect
They cannot
her
do
like
that
that.
to Rexy.
Rupert Friend's character, Martin
Let me say
Krebs,
this, I hope Rexy is still alive, and she'll be in, like, Jurassic Part 8.
introduces Dr. Henry Loomis, played by Jonathan Bailey, to Scarlett Johansson's character, Zora Bennett, a skilled covert operations expert sent on a highly dangerous mission to collect the DNA from 3 different giant dinosaurs in order to make a breakthrough cure to a deadly disease. We next see them on the island exploring through the long grass before Zora looks up at something, and it's the tail of some massive creature. What creature, you might ask? Well, none other than a Titanosaurus. Nope, I'm not doing the guy. And these look incredible. Just look at how long their tails are.
I'm still
They
recovering
just
from
look
being sick. I can't do
beautiful.
the
And the CGI here just looks super clean. And it's unfinished as well, and it still looks this good. And in the next shot, we get this super atmospheric look at the island covered in thick fog. And flying through it, what looks to be our first look at the Rebirth Quetzalcoatlus. I'm loving the vibe of this thing. This is the moment it reminded me of Peter Jackson's King Kong. It just looks so good. Next up, we get to look at what's likely Costa Rica, where the team have been sent to find someone that can get them in and out of the island, with their man being Mahershala Ali's character, Duncan Kincaid, a smuggler responsible for getting things and people through places they shouldn't be, as stated by Zora Bennett. Also, if you look closely here, you'll see the crew sitting under that megalodon jaw that we saw in some behind-the-scenes images. This looks like a chill-ass bar. I want to go here. And the visuals here just look so good. I remember people being worried that the film would look grey based on those original promo materials. But look at this, there is so much colour, and none of that ugly blue tint from the World films. When we're introduced to Duncan, he seems to be playing poker, so I like this guy already. Bro not only gambles with his money, but also his life, as you'll see later on in the trailer. Next up, we see them setting off on their adventure, and our first hint that Edwards is taking inspiration from Spielberg's other monster movie, Jaws. We'll see even more of this ocean horror later on in the trailer. Next up, we get this gorgeous shot that feels like it came straight out of the creator, and in the environment we can see what looks to be some man-made structures. At first I thought this was a long building or some kind of metro system to take staff around the island, but in the next shot it seems to be an old fence system with what looks to be abandoned mining equipment in the background. Now this could obviously be used for mining resources, but what's also possible is they're digging underground, which may be where the facilities are located. More on that later. As Duncan says, no one's dumb enough to go where we're going, which implies this is probably his most dangerous mission yet. Please don't die, King. Next up, we see what is most definitely cannon fodder for the dinosaurs as they're preparing their weapons. And I can already see the countdown to their deaths in the corner of the screen. And we get this stunning, very Skull Island view of the island, and not gonna lie, it looks kinda small, which is surprising. Maybe it's just the angle. And we hear Zora giving us a huge revelation. This island was the research facility for the original Jurassic Park. No, this isn't Isla Sorna, this is something entirely new, meaning all these creatures in the lab are unfinished specimens, which will become a pretty huge plot later. In the container, which looks to be in amazing polished condition despite being 32 years old, looks to house a raptor, with this specific one being the tiger raptor from the Lost World. At least that's what I believe, which I'm so happy to see again, even in this condition. But if you look closely, you'll see this thing has a second head, which is a mutation known as polycephaly, showcasing just how many times they had to experiment in order to get the raptors right. And Loomis also gets a look at an embryo, which just looks super creepy. I can't even tell what kind of animal this thing's meant to be.
Wait, hear me out on this theory. That raptor thing is going to break out of the test tube or whatever it's called, the Mewtwo thing. And it's going to actually, it's actually alive. It's not just...
Let me know in the comments what you think it is. The team prepared their gear to collect a sample from the first animal on the list, Quetzalcoatlus, and they're in a race against time to try and get the sample from the egg before the mother comes home. Krebs doesn't fully understand why they need to get it from an egg, and Loomis reminds him that this thing is a flying carnivore the size of an F-16. And he's like, yeah, fair enough. And we get this pretty sweet scene of them abseiling down the cliff in order to reach the nest. And in the back, we get some waterfalls, which really reminds me of the scenery from the helicopter pad in the original Jurassic Park. Of course, it wouldn't be Jurassic without something going wrong, and the angry mum returns to her nest and starts attacking the team. And yes, it is visually quite substantially smaller than the one we got in Dominion.
Oh, man.
I really liked that design, even if it was a bit too big, but I also like this one just as much, just in a different way. I really love the coloration and the quills we can see reflecting on the sunlight. Loomis turns around to the camera and says, "Holy shit," before getting flung out of the cave. I couldn't figure out how exactly this happened, but I'm pretty sure that the Kets got tangled in the rope and tried to flee the scene to safety, but by doing that, also dragged Loomis out, which looks like a pretty tense scene as Zora tries to cling onto the rope. We hear Loomis saying that the dinosaurs were simply too dangerous for the original park. The worst of the worst were left here. The dinosaurs that went on a rampage in the Jurassic Park series are what InGen got right. Imagine the horrors of all the subjects that they got wrong. And before they show us probably the highlight and the biggest controversy regarding the trailer, they show us the instantly recognizable claws of a velociraptor, stalking them through a familiar setting, which could be a kitchen, but maybe that's too on the nose. But then we're introduced to this monstrosity, as this massive hand comes into the frame through the fog. And this is where the real terror rears its head, because up to this point it's been a surprisingly light-hearted trailer, but then this mutant comes in and turns the film on its head. Get a good look at the Jurassic World Rebirth mutant, the result of failed experimentation when trying to make a T-Rex. And this thing is massive. I'm glad Gareth has still got what it takes to make things feel properly massive. His sense of scale is simply unmatched. We'll have a longer video diving into what exactly this thing is, so subscribe and chop the notification button to keep up to date with everything on Dangerville. And hit that like button while you're at it. Let's spread this breakdown as far as we can. But this thing just looks crazy. Some in the comments have hated it, but I personally love it. It's not just another theropod, this is entirely new, and it's gonna give the parents nightmares. And this seems to be the same scene where Duncan Kincaid is going to risk his life, which I really hope is not where he dies. Come on, man, you can make it. But I mean, he's probably gonna die. Next up, we get a look at the new Jurassic Park car, and if it's a bit too blurry, here's a better look at it. This thing is gorgeous, but doesn't really look like something that came from the early 1990s. If anything, this looks like a warthog from Halo. It's kind of futuristic, so I'm curious to see how they explain this. Next up, we get some very alien-reminiscent shots in these dark, damp corridors, which I believe are InGen's facilities hidden deep underground. Remember the mining equipment? That may have been used to build this secret facility to keep it out of sight from surveillance. And we get this shot of Zora crouch walking through what looks to be some sewer systems. And she's firing at something coming straight at her. Based on the earlier shots, I'm willing to bet that these are velociraptors. Or maybe even another smaller mutant. Next up, we get something that we've wanted for a long time. After Dominion's disappointing inclusion of Dilophosaurus, where we had this scene, people were only left wanting more. So I'm glad to see that we're going to get the spitting lizard back at it again. In this scene where it faces off against Luna Blaze's character, who looks like she's been for a dunk in the river. The Dilo looks to be using the Dominion design, but it still looks super cool. And in broad daylight, which I think is a first for the films. Next up, we see why Blaze's character is soaking wet with this stunning shot of the T-Rex that's just spotted her in its territory while it's trying to have a nap. Why did you wake him up? That's so rude. And it doesn't seem too pleased with her because it roars and proceeds to chase her down the river, a scene taken right out of the Jurassic Park novel. And it looks like she'll be separated from what I believe is her brother, played by David Iacono, who in this frame is wearing this red t-shirt. And I just need to point this out, that even though the CGI is unfinished, there's almost half a year to go until release, but this already looks insane. This looks like I could actually touch it. There's just so much detail on that skin, it's incredible. That's on top of this probably being the best the Rex has looked since The Lost World. Hell, it might even be the best. I love the coloured stripes on it. There's way more variety to the dinosaurs here.
Yep.
No more grey with the same dull skin colour. Each looks really unique. I don't know, man. I'm so happy about it. Is it just me? Is it just me? Next up we get another look at our freak inside InGen's lab. And one of the staff has been trapped inside the enclosure of this monstrosity, with the beast itself. Yep, that guy's dead. And these people seem to be completely in gear, and the lab is intact. So I'm willing to bet this is the opening of the film, and it's a flashback that shows the breakdown of the facility, similar to Jurassic Park's opening with the raptor eating one of the crew. Next up we get the tagline, "Survival is a long shot," which is just a killer quote. But the extra resistance, we get the scene with the Spinosaurus, and there's not just one, oh no, they're making up for the lack of it in the past 3 films by giving us 3 whole Spinosaurus, and they have a whole new, more realistic design. Now, this shot was revealed in the promotional material yesterday, and Jacob was hard at work analysing this until Universe went and released the trailer early, but we were all asking the question, why the Spinosaurus is together with the Mosasaurus? But we now have an explanation as to why the Mosasaurus seems so chilled with these Spinos. It's a symbiotic relationship where they help
that's
defend
terrifying.
territory
And also cool.
food, so that both animals end up with something to eat, which is a really interesting concept for Jurassic, considering all the dinosaurs in the World films seem to just want to eat each other all the time. So this is a nice change of pace, and something that's surprisingly realistic. And we get a good look at that new Spinosaurus design, and at first glance, I'm not a massive fan, to be honest. The neck is really stumpy,
if I drop a thumbnail and make a drawing for it's probably just going to, I'm probably just going to draw the JP3 design.
The skull is pretty close to the real thing, and they even have a larger claw. So the designers have really done their research here, and I do really like the striped patterns on its sails. So maybe it'll grow on me. And Zora, like a badass in a scene that kind of seems reminiscent of Jaws, seems to be using a hunting rifle and sniping the Spinos off the side of the boat.
Cool.
But I don't think that'll be enough for the Mosasaurus, who leaps up into the air and will probably come crashing down and capsizing the boat. And then we get the title card, Jurassic World Rebirth. And man, this has me so hyped. The potential new lore, the secrets that will be uncovered, the combination of sci-fi with the grit and dirt, the atmosphere, and all the dinosaurs, it all just looks so good. If you asked me when I was 12 what the perfect Jurassic Park sequel would be, this is what I would have shown you. The trailer does reveal maybe a bit too much. I think they should have kept the mutant a secret, but clearly it has a big role in the film, so obviously they wanted to reveal it themselves before, I don't know, the toys did or something. If I had any criticisms, it's probably that some of the humor just doesn't land, which does stand out because so much of this trailer just looks so good. I guess it's to balance out the darker tone, but the quips just take me out a little. But it doesn't ruin it for me, not even close.
Funny.
The film releases July 2nd, and we have a lot to cover, so subscribe and chomp the notification button to keep up to date with everything Jurassic related. What did you residents think of the trailer? Did you love it? Did you hate it? Let us know in the comment section down below. I've been Alistair, and we'll see you residents in the next one.
Well, you're kind of trying to redo the Jurassic Park 4. Yeah, that was cool. That was cool. Yeah, that was cool. That was real cool. Alright guys, like, subscribe, and peace out.